Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. You know, there are a lot of times when we get to talk about financing, we get to talk about acquisition strategy, we get to talk about where the markets are. The one thing that I do enjoy talking about in terms of acquisition strategy is it's not really well known. Maybe it's well known. It should be more known than it is, but it's a strategy that I absolutely love. And it's probate leads. We've had Jeff Sweet from US Probate Leads on the show before, but I wanted to make sure that we really hit home the strategy for investors that are really looking for a sound acquisition strategy moving forward, with also an opportunity to impact a family's life in a really positive way. And so Jeff and I will be talking about that in just a second. Following that, I've got a little rant for you, for maybe about 30 seconds to a minute, about, oh, well, you'll just find out. It's going to be fun. We're going to have fun today. It's going to be a blast. This podcast is brought to you by my friends at US Probate Leads. So thank you, Jeff, for being a sponsor of today's podcast and the entire team over at US Probate Leads. So officially, this podcast is brought to you by US Probate Leads, which offers probate leads to investors and realtors for counties throughout the country. Learn more at www.usprobateleads.com. So, without any further ado, Mr. Sweet, the man himself, the CEO of all things US Probate Leads. Welcome to the show. I'm doing great. How are you?
Actually, I'm good. I'm not the CEO. I'm the sales director.
Sales. It's like a big cheese kind of moment, right? Like sales director, big cheese. Yeah, it's just gonna be big cheese from now on. I think you should
call me what you want. I've been called many things in life. So.
I love it. So give us a little background. Give us a little background of who you are, what you do, and what US Probate Leads is all about.
Well, I'm the sales director for US Probate Leads. I've been going about 2 years now with US Probate Leads. They kind of recruited me in a sense. They needed some help with some phone calls. I own a USA-based call center. So they reached out to my company through one of my customers, actually was a client also of US Probate Leads. So the relationship evolved over a period of about 3-6 months, and they asked me to become their sales director. So
awesome.
I joined the team.
There you go. And give me a little background on what US Probate Leads does as well. I mean, obviously, it's an acquisition strategy that investors have used for quite a while, but it's also not as well known as we think and as prevalent as it should be. So give me a little background on Probate Leads and why they're so important right now.
Well, US Probate Leads, we are honestly the premier source when it comes to probate. We've been doing probate for over 15 years. We are the only company, that at least that we're aware of, that basically physically covers the whole entire country, East Coast to West Coast. Wherever we have clients, if we have to send our researcher team to go pull records, that's what we do. And you're right, there is a misconception with probate. I know not a lot of investors or realtors or wholesalers or flippers are really working the market the way, either working at all or the way that they should. A lot of people get a little bit fearful of probate. It's like, dang, I don't want to mess with that kind of a marketplace. It's actually a very simple deal. If you send out mailers and you do phone calls, you're going to be successful with the probate industry.
But Jeff, you're talking about mailers and phone calls. Like, I don't feel like doing any work, but I still want all the opportunity and money, right? Like, you got to make it more simple than just mailers and phone calls.
Well, give it to our company. We actually have those two programs also set up. So not only could you buy the list from US Probate Leads, we'll send the mailers for you.
Oh, wow.
You don't even have to touch it. Just give us a logo. Give us your company information. We'll send them on your behalf. And we got pretty competitive price with the mailers. And then secondary to that, if you want somebody hired to make the phone calls, just set up the appointment for you to go meet with them or make them an offer on the phone. Whatever the realtor or investor wants to do, the phone calls can also accomplish the task which is basically just getting in front of that executive. That's it. That simple.
I didn't even know you had that service. I was actually kind of joking, and you're like, "Whoa, we actually do this," which is great. I'm like, "All right,
We've got it all, man. We've got it all, dude."
You caught me off guard. So help those investors that are not familiar with probate. Maybe help them understand what probate leads are and what the process is, and how beneficial that can be for both the family going through probate and for the investor.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. These family members, obviously somebody that they close to them, the loved one, is no longer with them. They've left behind property. Some people's inheritance, some people's future livelihood is actually tied into that property. So they're kind of motivated to sell the property. So getting in front of them and at the right place at the right time, and with a good message. You don't want to go in, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry about your loss. Boom, hey, can I have your property?" No, you got to be a little bit more smooth. As a matter of fact, the phone call approach, we don't even mention that we know that they go through probate. Now, letters, you can flip a coin. Yes, mention it. No, don't.
Yeah.
So, but it is a process that people need to go through. And I hate to say it, baby boomers, we're not getting any younger. So
Right.
I'm at the tail end of that generation, man. So that's a big amount of people out there that aren't getting any younger.
Yep, no, that's a good point. And I appreciate what you said about being brash, right? There's an art to these phone calls.
Oh, yes.
And you can't just go in and say, "Hey, I got your information from a public database of people that died," and
Right.
like that's just
Yeah, you know what's going to happen? Click.
right.
Look at this. See ya. Actually, we created a pitch approach that doesn't even mention probate
Yep.
when we make the phone calls. We're just
So-
say, "Hey, look, we're looking to, we're a local investment company, we're a local realtor. We're
Yep.
looking to list your house. We're looking to make you a cash offer. Do you have anything in your portfolio that you're looking to sell?" Then let them talk. They may tell you that they have a probate property, but let them tell you,
Yes.
not you tell them.
That's right.
So that's an advice to your viewers that if they make phone calls on their own, don't mention probate. Don't be a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah, and most of the time, once you ask the question, don't say anything else, right? Just shut up
Agree.
and let them answer the freaking question. So let's say
talk themselves into the sale.
Right. So let's say I go to usprobateleads.com and I've purchased a list. And I've created all my filters, and I'm sure your team can help me create all the filters that I need so I get the right list. What do I do next? Now I have like 800 names or 100 names or however many I've paid for. What's the first step after that? Just start cold calling, dialing for dollars? What do I do?
We suggest doing a mail piece first, because you're going to get call-ins. I've got great success stories. I've got a guy who we just sent out 100-piece mailers. Just he's a traditional regular realtor. He's looking for listings. Out of his 100-piece mailer, he got 4 listings. Wow. Great success story.
And how much did that 100-piece how much did that 100-piece mailer cost? Everything from buying the leads to sending out the mailers.
With his particular mail piece, I believe, I gave him a deal on the historical data. I'm going to say $300 mail piece and list.
Geez, so you're looking at like thousands of % of a return. When,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. How many times do I have to send these mailers out or make phone calls? Like, do you suggest 1 mailer, 2 mailers, 3 mailers, or 1 mailer, then 3 phone calls, or 2 mailers, then 5 phone calls? Like, how does that work? What's the follow-up sequence?
We suggest staying in front of them for at least 6 months, even a year. Down the line, people are going to still be ready to eventually sell. So I would say start with mail number 1, follow up with a phone call, maybe 2 or 3 phone calls, because you're not going to get everybody on the first phone call. Let's just be real. So you need a lot of voicemails. People use whatever dialing systems they have out there. And then a month or 2 later, send out the second mail piece, send out postcards. Start with a traditional mail piece, then follow up with postcards like month 2 or 3, month 4 or 5, all the way up through even 9 to 12 months. Definitely 6 months, whether every other or the first 6 months. Definitely 6 mail pieces though is what we would suggest.
And what's interesting that you mentioned is you want to do it over an extended period of time because
Yes.
that the new investors and the noobs out there, they'll stop at like the 30-day mark or the 45-day
No,
mark
that's
because they
it.
haven't seen a whole
They'll
lot of
make one
success.
mailer and then call it quits, and they won't do anything else.
You're right.
And
I mean,
they're losing low-hanging fruit for the future when they
right,
do that.
right. And all you have to do is just be consistent, right?
Yep.
That's not very difficult. Just put out a little extra capital.
And we will put together the whole program so you guys, your viewers, don't even have to touch it. We can do it all for them.
That's right.
They just take the phone calls, get their set appointments, whatever the case may be.
What is the ideal filter? When I'm searching on USProbateLeads.com, what's the filter? Should it be like how recent this probate lead is? Is it how?
No,
like, what am I looking at?
because like I mentioned on our last conversation, probate can mature over time. So getting some historical filings 3 months, 6 months ago, and you could actually have 6 months worth of a list and a brand new one. So you got like 7 months. We had one guy out in one of the bigger areas of the country. He had, true story, 6 months worth of historical data. And he told me when I had a conversation with him, he literally made profit 100K.
That's insane.
Profit. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Sure.
Do you also text these people?
Yes.
You do. Okay, so you can do like a nice handwritten letter, postcard, email, phone call, text message.
Yep.
So you're hitting them on all different fronts.
All the fronts. Correct.
That's pretty cool. What are some tips that you have for now your pro real estate investors that are looking at this and they're like, okay, I mean, Jeff, Abhi, I know you all have talked before on the Think Realty podcast.
Right.
Why should I engage probate leads?
It's, in a sense, not a saturated marketplace. It's not a tapped. It's not real tapped. I mean, only honestly, the savvy realtors, savvy investors are doing probate. I'm just gonna say it. If you want to do what everybody else is doing, you got your expires, you've got all these other lead sources that are cheap, but everybody in the brother's doing them.
Right.
Not everybody in the brother is doing probate or doing it properly.
That's right.
So,
I have one of my friends here. I have one of my friends that lives in Atlanta. He uses USProbateLeads.com, and all he does, and he's a realtor, all he does every single day from sun up to sundown is run his team. They call these leads. He does it right, and now he's developed a machine that generates 3 to 5 sales for him, 3 to 5 wholesale deals every single month. And that's because he started 8-10 months ago, year and a half ago. And sometimes for some people it's going to be longer. For some other people it'll be a shorter time frame. But you have to stay consistent. That's the entire thing of probate leads. And everywhere now everybody's complaining about how hard it is to find deals, but it's so easy to find money. Well, this is the solution, right? I mean, we're talking about it. So
it is.
If I want to
great source.
Yeah, so if I want to get in touch, if I want to start this journey with you, Jeff, how do I do it?
Well, give us a call, and I can help you out. I'll give you the Think Realty podcast 25% discount. One of your viewers actually just called me yesterday because the recent podcast. So that's pretty cool, man.
That's
so 25%
pretty cool.
discount. Call me. The toll-free number is 877-470-9751. Use extension number 1, or go to the website. Get yourself a quote. You can even make the purchase right on the website. But I suggest calling me first if you want the discount.
Awesome. And hey, the host of the podcast also gets the discount, right? Am I like excluded from this discount? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you 30%, man.
Hey, there you go. Look at that. I mean, it's the extra effort, right? There we go. See, I like that.
I'm the ultimate salesman. Where there's an opening, I'm gonna just drive right through, man.
Hey, no, I love it. So you'll be hearing from me for sure. We have another 30 seconds before I have to hit this next segment, Jeff. You've had a lot of customers, you've had a lot of investors that have been successful with using USProbateLeads.com. Share one of their stories.
Well, I'll get the 2 that I just shared. I've got others. The guy, again, the male piece of only 100. I think he bought some historical, smaller-ish county, bought some historical, bought the regular subscription. We sent out his mailer, 4 listings. The other guy, again, 6-month historical, large counties. He did his marketing, made 100K. I've got other guys that just make contact with me and say, look, I just scored another wholesale deal. Thanks. I've got another guy that he's been with us off and on for about maybe 9 months, and called me the other day, ready to buy another list. He says, Jeff, I already got 5 deals. It's like, dude, block these things. So yeah, there's definitely success stories. I get them all the time when I talk to our clients.
And that's the way to do it right now. That is
Yep.
just the way to do it. Jeff, thanks so much. I certainly appreciate the time and the insight. It's always a pleasure connecting with you. If you want to get in touch with his team, and you will get that 25% off. Jeff, what is that phone number and extension one more time?
877-470-9751. The extension number is 1.
Awesome. Extension 1. Jeff, thanks a lot, man.
Yep.
I appreciate the time.
You do, bud. Have a good one, man.
You got it. Thank you. Think Realty Nation. This next segment is brought to you by Real Property Management, which is the largest residential property management franchise in North America, managing tens of thousands of properties for individuals, investors, and institutions throughout the country. Learn more at realpropertymgt.com or call 888-806-7088. You know what it's time for? It's time for Abhi's Rant. I haven't done one in a while, so we're going to go ahead and make this happen. It's happening right now. So here's the thing. I am talking to all the real estate agents and realtors out there. You got to learn how to make it rain. Here's the problem. Y'all are real estate professionals, but the majority of you don't own real estate. What's up with that? Here's an interesting statistic. 10% of real estate agents make less than $23,000 a year. That's right. 10% of real estate agents make less than $23,000 a year. Now, on the flip side, 10% of agents make over $100,000 a year. But you know what the interesting thing about all of this is? It's a very transferable skill set. As a real estate agent or as a realtor, you have to book appointments. You got to go to showings. You have to communicate with divas like me, right? You've got online marketing, offline marketing. You got to do comps. You have to figure out what the right value is for a property you're about to list or sell. You've got to negotiate. You have to work with hard clients. What are some of the core competencies out of all of this? Number one, you're creative. Real estate agents and realtors are probably the most creative people that I know in the real estate space. Number two, you understand value. Number three, you know how to negotiate. And number four, you know how to network properly. So you've got the makings of that real estate star. I'm not talking about the HGTV star. I'm talking about you. So as an agent, realtor, investor, not only are you're making money with your commissions on this side, but now you're taking this and not going to Chanel. No, I'm not talking about Jimmy Choo's either, okay? They're the same level. Don't be spending money on Jimmy Choo's or Breitling for you guys, all right? No. What you're going to do is you're going to take these commissions and you're going to invest that into a flip deal or some type of single-family rental using the data you already have access to. It's that simple. Take that step. For every 10 commissions you get, buy one rental property. For every 5, depending on where you live, right? If you live in New York, if you live in California, for every 1 commission that you get, go buy 1 or 2 rental properties in the Midwest. You do that over a period of time, what happens? You get cash flow, but cash flow equals one word: certainty. Certainty that you have a financial future that is bright and that is waiting for you, and you don't have to keep working hard. You can choose to be a realtor if you want. But it's the cash flow that's going to give you that lifestyle and help you build wealth long term. So that's my message. For all you real estate agents and realtors out there, go buy the asset class that you talk so highly about. I challenge you. Think Realty Nation, that's the show. Get in touch. Go to thinkrealty.com. You want to find me anywhere online, you can find me at Abhi Golhar. And last but not least, this podcast is brought to you by my friends at USProbateLeads.com, which offers probate leads to investors and realtors for counties throughout the country. Learn more at www.USProbateLeads.com. Think Realty Nation, it's that time. I hope you learned a lot.